Thank you so much, Wilbert, for having me here today. For those of you who don't know, this is Wilbert. He is the owner, winemaker of this incredible establishment, Four Shadows Winery. New to the southern tip of the Naramata Bench. They're going on to their third season now. Last year was awesome. I brought quite a few tours here with Great Savvy Wine Tours. Loved it. And yeah, we're going to dive into a little bit of a history and try some of their phenomenal terroir expressive wines. So tell me a little bit about how you landed here on the Naramata Bench.
Oh wow, so back in 2010 we sold our farm back in Alberta.
Right.
And for about a year we kind of looked around and we really focused on BC. Just nice weather, like can beat the Okanagan.
Definitely.
And so with the farming background, we decided we will want to farm again in the Okanagan. In 2011 there were actually a number of vineyards for sale.
Yeah.
And so we ended up buying one of them.
And this beautiful, so they own a 17-acre stunning parcel of land, which is home to, I think, some of the most exquisite, terroir expressive Riesling. Up on the slope, we'll head outside in a little bit here so you can have a look at that. But one thing, you guys dove into viticulture and winemaking without any previous experience. You guys were pig farmers in Lacombe?
Lacombe,
yeah.
Very well.
Perfect, good memory. And yeah, so how was the whole transition? I know that farming is farming and hard work is hard work, but learning the nuances of this specific land, specifically the vineyard that was kind of left unattended to for a long time. So you had to reestablish without a lot of knowledge. So how did you go about all this?
Sometimes the hard way. You dive into something and you find out, oh, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Definitely.
So after 2012, which was basically our first growing season,
okay.
We made it through a year with our hands in our hair at times because when things start to grow, they take off.
Definitely.
So actually, it wasn't until 2012 that we hired Graham O'Rourke.
Right.
From
Tightrope.
Winery.
Perfect.
So Graham was our consultant in the vineyard for the first number of years.
Lovely.
And he really taught us how to maintain, how to look after the vineyard, and really has a focus on farming.
Definitely.
He had to tell us, especially my wife, who's very particular. And it's nice if you have a garden and you can just look after, pick every single weed. But we had to learn, it's a farm.
Yeah.
So we need to, you need to look after it, but you also need to move on.
Especially when you have, 12 established acres of grapes.
With us, the two of us looking after them, we just had to learn that, okay, this is good. It looks good enough.
Definitely. Grapes grow and make phenomenal wine.
So we really, Graham, super help. And with the farming background, we're not afraid to just go.
Jump right in.
Jump right in, and when the season is there, long hours. Just go for it. But it's a beautiful job.
Yeah. It's definitely becomes addicting, the vineyard work, a little bit.
You know about it.
I do. All too well. So yeah, you guys basically sold grapes for the first 7 years that you were here, managing the property. And 2017, you decided to hold back a little bit of your Pinot Noir and Merlot.
That's correct. Yeah.
And you made your very first vintage in 2017.
So it started to grow on us a little bit. The idea, if you would have asked me this even in 2014, 15, 16, 2016 we of course obviously started to get serious about starting to make our own wines.
Yeah.
People were asking before, is this something you want to do in the beginning? I said no. Because we were brand new. We didn't know how to grow grapes. How can we even think about making wine?
Yeah.
But after we actually really got good at growing grapes, Graham O'Rourke, like I mentioned earlier, really said, you know what, you guys, you don't need me anymore. So we really felt like we got this growing of grapes. And so then, I started getting a little restless because it's time for something new.
Time for something new. So you guys also, leaned on Lindsay, Graham's wife, to do your first crush Tightrope as well. So pretty cool. And your first vintage was how many cases?
Yeah, So we did about 450 cases of the Merlot
Okay.
and about 250, I believe, of my head of the Pinot Noir.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so things were met with such extraordinary, I guess, reputation coming out the gate that you guys added Chardonnay, Riesling, and a Rosé the very next year.
Right. So our idea was, of course, like we started our reds a
Yeah.
year earlier, so that we basically went 2 years later.
For your barrel program.
We had a chance to release a red and our whites at the same time.
Yeah, so this is now the complete lineup. You guys have a Merlot, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Riesling. This is brand new, actually. I'm really excited about this. This is, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is a brand new 2020 sparkling Riesling. First of its kind on the bench, I think, in the Okanagan for sparkling Riesling.
Yeah, we are super excited.
So yummy, so excited. You also have your Riesling Classic, which got a little bit of a wardrobe change this year. Still the same wine, just missing its blue bottle, and then the dry Riesling, and the beautiful rosé. So all this, I know you guys were sold out of quite a bit of stuff at the end of the season last year. So these wines fly off the shelves, guys. Again, if you've never heard about them, they're literally the first winery here on the southern tip of the Narrabeen Bench on Upper Bench Road. And they are coming out of the 2020 season with a full lineup for 2021. So, yay. That's awesome.
Right on.
Should we get into some wine?
Certainly.
All right. What do we got?
So our classic Riesling.
Perfect. This is one of my favorites. This actually won a gold for its very first vintage.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking, of course, when you come out of the gate and you have a number of gold medal.
Gold medal on the very first year. That's pretty awesome.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about how you make this wine. Do you pull this? Do you harvest the grapes for the different Rieslings at separate times? Are they from separate parts of the vineyard?
So we got 2 blocks of Riesling.
Okay.
So maybe later on when we get outside, or we have our higher elevation block above our house, and then we have the lower. So this is 9. Actually, this year this was let me think. At harvesting time, this is about 90% of our top Riesling.
Okay.
And then we harvested a little bit from a bottom block, which was all fermented together.
Wow. Riesling has always been one of my favorite varietals to drink in general. But I've had a big fascination with BC Rieslings. Recently working at Upper Bench with their Lieutenant Governor's Award win last year for their Riesling. A gold for the very first vintage I made at Van Weston was pretty cool as well, but I don't know, there's something about that minerality, the apple and the lime, and that distinct kind of petrol aroma that I crave that you get in this. It's very, just so distinct. High acid, and what was the residual sugar and stuff?
This one has 38 grams of residual sugar.
38?
38 grams of residual sugar.
Wow. Okay, for those of you who don't know, that sounds like a lot, but the acidity that is balanced within this wine creates this really nice kind of viscous mouthfeel without this overwhelming presence of that sugar on the tip of the tongue. So for wine that's that high, this would pair really, really well with any spicy dishes.
Absolutely.
Pad thai, buttered chicken. But wow, if you hadn't have told me, I would have guessed.
I know, that's
Definitely lower. The acidity makes it so balanced.
And that's one of the nice thing about it. That's why I probably someone hesitate mentioning it, because it throws you completely off. But it is the balance between the acid and the sugar that just makes this one actually
God, it's
overly
incredible.
dry.
It's like proper, Auslese German Rieslings that have that, high residual sugar with that balanced acidity. And this makes, with that sugar, this is a very age-worthy wine. You can lay this wine down forever.
For a young wine as it is, of course, we think too, let's put it away for a little while.
Wow.
See what it is.
Oh my God, that's exciting. Ah!
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Riesling. Awesome. So that was the 2020 Riesling Classic from Four Shadows Winery. You guys take this home.
It's all yours.
Perfect. So that Riesling was phenomenal. I can't wait to get a hold of that. I might be here daily this summer, at least with guests on the wine tours. And now we're getting into, is it the 2000 and...
So this is our 2018 Merlot.
Perfect. I remember the first time I came here to try wine, I was literally blown away by the quality of your wines. And said, "This is what price?" I was pretty astounded by the prices of the wines. Incredible value, you guys, and Wilbert does have a consultant, Pascal, that has been helping out from the get-go for the winemaking, but you've taken over quite a bit over the last few years for sure, hey?
So Pascal, on the 2018, was our consultant, and Pascal is hands-off, but he's all the knowledge behind it.
Yeah.
Right. So I completely rely on Pascal for the next step in the winemaking process.
Wow. Off the bat, it's super fruit forward. How much time does this spend in oak?
11 months.
11 months. French?
French oak. Well, 30% new barrels every year. We purchase new barrels again.
Super deep, dark fruit. Merlot is definitely the most widely planted grape varietal, not only in the world, but definitely in the Okanagan. It tends to have this very juicy, jammy, kind of medium-bodied palate and very distinct, black fruit aromas. This off the bat definitely has that medium body. When do you harvest this wine? What are you looking for within that grape to create this style of Merlot?
So we're waiting for the tannins to be ripe.
Okay.
But again, that's where Pascal really comes in. Because to actually, when you think the grapes are ready to be harvested, most people, myself included, would harvest too soon.
Yeah.
Because they're there. So you can do one thing, of course, is looking for bricks,
Yeah.
TA. That's something that anybody can do if you know how to run a small little lab.
Yeah.
But the palate, to find when the tannins are ready.
Definitely.
That's
I
where
think
Pascal comes in.
I think a lot of people, just like you said, don't really base their picks on the phenolics of the grapes. And it is really, you can execute wine from a book with numbers, but again, I think it's more than that. I think it's tasting the grapes and figuring out when, the palate's ready to make good quality wine as well. So it's not just about, I think it's a balance between, chemistry and poetry in a sense.
Well, and the chemistry part is something that, you can calculate, you can
Absolutely.
figure it out. The poetry is something that you need to
play with, really.
You need to develop a palate for it.
Oh, well, this is delicious. And how long do you think you can lay this one down for, Wilbert?
Well, I'm just using Pascal's words, and he's just saying 7 to 10 years should be no issue.
Okay. And I've seen you put everything under screw cap. Was that a Lindsay and Graham influence? Because it's very New Zealand.
Yeah, basically, we decided we want to keep our wines affordable. Also, we didn't want to come out of the gates with very expensive bottles of wine, so we want to keep it in a way a little simple. I can say that way.
Awesome.
I think it's just easy to have
It's definitely easy, and it doesn't ever, it actually retains the acidity, and you don't get any bottle variation when you do age these wines. So if you do want to lay this wine down for 7 to 10 years, you're guaranteed it's not going to be corked. So.
Well, this is right. And in the screw cap, they have a liner, and then different kinds of liners decide we choose depending on the wine.
Perfect. So, Wilbert, can you tell me a little bit about, the history of how you came up with Four Shadows as a name? What's the story behind it?
Well, the story is our 4 sons. So my wife and I, obviously, we have 4 children, 4
Okay,
sons.
it's off the ball.
Sure, go ahead. I mean, it's not very clear, of course, but
Alright.
they are the inspiration behind the name. The idea of 4 shadows kind of grew a little bit by having some pictures in our house. It's reflecting shadows, and we put it together.
Wow.
And
And this transpires to, as you can see, their logos here, their name, and all that from one family photo in Mexico. So
that's right.
you never know what's going to come of those family photos, guys.